In my first year of university, that's when I started talking to my mum again, because I was very frustrated as a teen. So I went without speaking to her for a year and a half, 2 years, because it didn't make sense in my head how obviously this habit that she had hurt us so much, and why
Mm-hmm.
she didn't just ditch it. It just didn't make sense to me, right? And we'd fall out a lot about it, and to the point where I'd just be like, okay, I'm going to take what you love the most, which is us, or like my sister made her own choice, and they carried on talking. But I said, I'm just not going to talk to you. I just don't
Mm-hmm.
think it's fair. It's hurting me too much. So that was like just before I got to university. So I started speaking to her again in my first year. And then halfway through my first year, she got diagnosed with throat cancer, which
Mm-hmm.
was quite a big blow. So yeah, that was a worry. And she was going through treatment. I remember I'd drive her car and I'd drive her to the hospital sometimes, and it was quite intense. It was
Mm-hmm.
different, right? And that's when it started sort of definitely my mental health. I got a lot more anxious about things. And like you compound that with being at university, trying to meet new people, going out and drinking all the time. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
you'd end up doing some silly things. And there's a difference between going out and drinking and having fun, and then going out and drinking and not remembering 70% of the nights that you do, right? It's stupid.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
And
yeah.
like while people do it, people do go get blackout sometimes, but I definitely took it to another level, and it was a bit too much.
Mm-hmm.
Bit too much. And you could tell, because now looking back on it, I'd be drinking and like I'd always be the crier. And then they were like, why is Finn always crying when he gets drunk? And I think it was a lot of this pent up emotion, right? Of everything that was going on. And
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
yeah, it was pretty intense. So then first year finished, we went into second year, and it looked like
Sorry,
uh,
what were you going to university for?
nutrition. So I
Oh,
got my
okay.
my Bachelor of Sciences in Nutrition.
Oh, cool. That's awesome.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. I'll have to circle back and
Yeah, yeah.
go back and after I finish this relationship with my mum. But basically, I went into second year. Things looked good. Like she was responding to the treatment well. The cancer was almost gone.
What was she doing for treatment? Sorry.
It was chemotherapy.
Okay, it was
So
chemo.
just your traditional allopathic treatment. That's another thing. So in the UK, a lot of medicine, it's mainly allopathic. You don't have naturopathic doctors. You don't really see a lot of these alternative therapies. So
Mm-hmm.
that was a
So,
really cool learning curve for me when I came here.
mm-hmm.
But I'll get into that a bit later. She was responding well to the chemo. It was pretty much done. And then I remember we were home for, well, I was home for the Christmas break. My sister was still at home, obviously, with my dad. And he came in one day with a real somber look on his face, and he just told, oh God, it's quite intense. He told my sister that my mum had passed away, like the night before. Yeah,
Holy.
yeah, it was intense, man. Even when I'm saying it to you now, you can hear my voice cracking a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
It's like someone like smashes you in the chest with a sledgehammer. It was
Mm-hmm.
really intense. And my sister just ran out the room crying. I was just sat down. I couldn't really believe what happened, right? I was like, this
It
is
almost doesn't seem real at
crazy.
first.
Oh my God. I mean, it's a very different feeling when it kind of blindsides you there, because you've been going through all that stress, and then it eases up. And then it's just like you're on a huge roller coaster ride that just drops you down, and then the drop doesn't stop. So you just have to like sit down and figure stuff out. But it was
Mm-hmm.
it was intense. And yeah, that was when like stuff started picking up for me on the mental health side. Like I didn't really know what to do. Like it
Mm-hmm.
started morphing into different sort of things, like too much partying, closing myself off from people, snapping at people. I remember one day I went to one of my anatomy and physiology lectures, and I was in there, and all of a sudden I got super hot and like broke out in cold sweats. I started shaking. My legs felt super light, so I kind of walked out, stumbled to the bathroom, and just sat down. I was like, "Oh my God, what's happening?" I thought I was going to throw up, and then it just kind of subsided. And I remember like that was my first anxiety attack. I didn't know what it was at the time. I went to the doctor, and I was like, like, what the hell's wrong with me? And he was like, sounds like you had an anxiety attack. I was like, I've never dealt with that before.
Mhm.
So it was a lot. It was a very long healing process from that. And I didn't think I could. I remember I came home again for a couple of weeks, and I spoke to one of my friends, and I was like, I don't think I can finish my degree. Like, I don't know what I'm doing.
Mhm.
And I remember I was sat on the sofa at the house party, and it was one of those drunken hearts. And I remember my friend saying, "No, you've got to do it. You're like 2.5 years in. Why won't you finish?" And that was a big sort of kick for me, because I was like, I remember I just felt like I had to be at home for my sister and look after her, but she was saying the same thing. She was like, "You've done this for 2.5 years. Why don't you finish?"
Mhm.
So I finished my degree in the end, and then after I finished that, I was like, I have to do something. I want to go out. I want to see the world. So I worked a little bit as a server, saved up a bit of money, and like my mum loves traveling too. Hence why we were here, there, and everywhere all the time. So I went around the world, and then I touched down in Canada, and I was just like, I'm going to stay here for a little